You know, as when you die, this life leaves, this body leaves. So it's very important that you explain to your children how permanent death is. Because it is totally romanticized, and that is a ploy of the devil. They do not want them to grow. He does not want them to grow up to be what God has purposed them to be. Then, I hate to sound, but I'm just going to say it, okay? All right, is, you know, a while ago, our color, we just did not commit suicide. You know, we might kill you, but we ain't killing ourselves. Yeah, I'll kill you for stealing my, you know, my $20, but I'm not going to kill myself. But we have taken on so many of other cultural ways. Okay? And I feel like all cultures are good in God's sight and all that, and we can learn from each other, and we all know God is no respecter of person. I believe all of that. Okay? But different cultures do have things that are indicative to them. And that's just real talk. But when we allow our children to sort of lose some of their, you know, ethnic identity, they begin to identify with others. And I'm going to go a little, you know, into your business right now. When they see us so concerned, you know, that we spend $200 on our hair being long and straight. Yeah. And they see us coloring our skin so that we are bright. They begin to internalize that. And when, you know, every household used to have a Jet magazine or Essence or Ebony or something. Now we all about Vogue and Marie Claire. You know, I'm just saying. Okay? And when they don't see, they don't really begin to appreciate who they are. And we begin to, and so you see a lot more in the Black community of our girls especially committing suicide. Because they are buying into what they feel like is perfection for them. And we're allowing them to. We didn't know. You know, we want them to have the best education and all that, but the best education is to carry them right over there to that little Adventist school where they got 2 teachers. Come on now. Okay? Yes, and she teaches 1 through 4, and he teaches, 5 through 8. That's it. Sometimes that's absolute. You know, we say they're not prepared for the world. We're not preparing them for this world. Hear me? And they got to survive in this world. No, they got to get from out of this world to the next world. And they're going to need to be able to be prayed over every day. And somebody calling their parents and saying, I'm just saying, okay, all right, let me get back on the subject. Okay. But those things, when we start, going over and taking the bad, we can take the good from all of our races, but when we start taking that negative, then our kids are internalizing that. Okay? Now, let me deal with our Black people, okay? Is we don't like to listen. Yes, and we don't listen to our children. And we don't watch them enough. When I say watch them enough, is that behavior change? Like, what happened? Why is this? Now, the other day, you love going to school. What is going on now? That now you don't want this class, and I don't like this person. And, we don't pay that any attention. We just say, just love them in the name of God and go on, And we busy watching whatever it is we watching on Netflix or whatever. And your children need that one-on-one time with you. And when you talk to them, this is even for teenagers as well, the best way to talk to them, the younger, like 10, you can sit and talk to them. But after 10, you need, in order to get authenticity out of them, you need to be doing something with them. You don't talk to them. Because, first of all, when you tell your child, I want us to talk, they already think, okay, what did I do wrong, right? Because we do as an adult. Let somebody, pastor, say, I need to talk to you after church. Oh, no. You found out I didn't pay my tithe last week. Okay, but you know, that's our natural inclination, is to think something's wrong. But when you say it's your turn to do the dishes, so let me help dry them while you wash the dishes. And then while you're doing that, you're talking to them. You know, and one of the best things is parables. That's what Jesus called them, so that's what I'm going to call them, okay? Y'all already know why I said this. I saw that in the newspaper, I read in the, I heard on the television the other day, this little 10-year-old girl, that people were bullying her, on the internet, and she killed herself. What do you think about that? Okay, it may not have happened, but it happened somewhere in the world, you see? So it's a parable, right? Okay, and so what do you think? How would you handle that? Have you ever felt like that? I know sometimes I felt like giving up. How do you feel what happens when you feel like giving up? You will hear a whole lot more than if you just sit one-on-one and try and talk with your child. Do something. If they're teenagers, the best thing to do is get them in the car. They can't go nowhere. They can't use the bathroom. Okay? Okay. See, that's why I'm hurrying. I only got 5 minutes. Okay. Oh, 10. Okay. All right. And get them in the car where they can't go anywhere. And then, this boy, he was dating this pretty girl, and then the girl, started dating somebody else, and it devastated him, and he killed himself. Or I remember my friend, she said that her daughter was hearing voices, and something was telling her to do this, and this. What do you think about that? Have you get the idea. You will get far more. Okay, so now when they get older, and you see these issues manifesting themselves, okay? And you're saying they need to get mental health, but they're grown, and I can't really, or I need to get some help. And I see that, I'm just not balanced as I would like to be. The hardest thing is to tell someone who has mental issues that they have mental issues. That doesn't register, because for them it's natural, it's normal, or it has become normal for them. Okay, so it is good if you go with them. Okay, I feel like our family. It's time that we all just get a psych eval. It's good to have a checkup every so often. And me as a psychologist, every 5 years, I have to have a psychological done, because I deal with so many people. They want to make sure, And so it was very easy for me to tell my kids that it's time for a psychological. But that's the way, because then it's not just singling them out. Or I know that we have had lots of stressors and things in our family this year. Let's go and talk to somebody. And that is one of the best ways, because then they're not feeling, like I say, singled out. They're not feeling like, I'm the crazy one in the family, I'm the one that's causing all the trouble, this, that, and the other. Now, the interesting thing about people who are in a mental crisis is they do tell the truth. Okay? They may tell a lot of lies, but there's a lot of truth in there, so you've got to be ready for that. Okay? And even if you all have gone over this, and then they keep circumventing, we have dealt with this, I'm so sorry I beat you at 10 and it was your brother, and they keep, then you know that there's a mental issue, a mental block around that particular issue. So you can't just say, okay, well, I've said I'm sorry, we can't keep going back over. No. What is it that I need to be doing that I'm not doing? How do I need to say it that I'm not saying it? Okay? And then, this extreme, but it really does help, okay, is if you talk to them as though of whatever medical issues you may have. Everybody has something. Either they're trying to lose weight, gain weight, be taller, be shorter, whatever your stuff is. You got diabetes, this, that, and the other. If you talk to them like that, it really helps. It's hard for me to stay on my diet. So I know it's hard for you to stay on your medicine. It helps. So let's put our meds here together so that we can take them. Instead of, did you take your medicine today? You know, right then, they're like, ugh, okay? And then, what happens when you start feeling better after you've taken medicine for a while? What happens? Stop. Yes. Why do you stop taking it? Yeah, you feel like you don't need it no more. You feel better. Yes. And that is the same thing that happens with people with mental disorders. The very same thing is they don't understand that the medicine actually is what's making you feel better. Okay, but I'm good now. I don't need this anymore. And then when you see that, I hate it because Obama, it was just so amazing that he made the psychotropic drugs available to everybody. Because a lot of reasons that people self-medicate is because they could not get their psychotropic drugs. You had to pay all this money, remember? Yes. You had to go to the psychiatrist. If you don't have insurance, the only time you went to the psychiatrist was when they, gave you an eval and you were locked up for a couple of days and that medicine lasts for a month. After that, you're paying $100, $200, and you got to keep going back to the psychiatrist. So the easiest thing then is to go get some weed. Okay? And so when you see people who are smoking weed a lot and drinking a lot, they're trying to self-medicate for whatever issue that there is. So it's important that then you say, I substitute as well. When I'm anxious, I eat ice cream. Amen, I'm talking about myself, okay? I can eat ice cream 3 times a day, so it's not just with anxious, okay? If life is good, if it's bad, and if it's great, and in between, ice cream always fits, right? I want some after now, okay, after I finish here. But it's good that if they have an ally, somebody who's struggling with something themselves, because then they are not singled out. Okay, I'm going to stop and let you all ask questions, and then I'm going to do just a little closure, okay? I hope I just didn't go all over the place. I hope you all got it enough. Oh, okay.
All right, we're going to take a few questions. Any questions you'd like to ask Dr. Mobley concerning the message that she delivered to us this evening? Oh, no, Dr. Mobley.
Yes, sir. Okay. I can help you.
Okay, anyone have a question you'd like to pose to Dr. Mobley at this time concerning the message?
Dr. Mobley.
Yes, sir.
My brother-in-law committed suicide, and we had no indication. His daughter, in turn, is bipolar, and she has left her husband. She is with a boy, probably less than third age, and she was someone who was on a spiritual high all the time, and she has burned out and crashed big time.
Right.
And we really, she doesn't live here, I'm a foreigner. She lives back where I was born.
Right.
And we really don't know what to do to help her.
Okay. First of all, let me say about men committing suicide. They're very, very private about it. And lots of times you don't know until it happens. Women, 80% of women, not kids, this is women, that kill themselves is by accident. Is they've taken a bunch of pills and this, that, and the other, but they time it right when they think somebody is going to come in, and so there's a cry for help. But men are very, very intentional. That's why men will shoot themselves a lot more. They are meaning it, yeah. And so sometimes you don't see the signs unless you're right there with them. You know, it's very hard. And when I say with them, where you're interacting with them a lot and you see the subtleties of it. Now, the daughter, she already has bipolar issues, okay? And then the loss of her dad has just sort of taken a nosedive for her. So one of the best things is to try to get her in a facility just for an eval, because they will give her some kind of medication. And the reason medication is good is because it will balance you out long enough so that you can be a cognizant thinker and you can hear what the person is saying, okay? So that's the first thing to try to do. And if her dad had issues, and you're not where she is, but as I said, if the family can say, we're all suffering from this, from the loss of my brother or brother-in-law, let us all go and get an eval. Let us all go to counseling. Then she will be more of a willing participant, okay? And then do not concentrate on the acts that she's doing. It's out of the illness that she has, okay? So what your whole goal is to keep her on her medications for bipolar. Then discuss with her, after you go to a psychiatrist, understand this, after you go to a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist is the one that can prescribe the medicine, but the psychiatrist is not really the one that can then delve in the issues. You need a psychologist or, a therapist that does therapy. That's different than a counselor. Okay, a counselor, can be a pastor, can be someone but a therapist can dig in the brain and the deep recesses. But a psychiatrist, at the end of everything, which is usually just about a 10 or 15-minute time period, they're going to just keep prescribing the medicine, and they're not going to really deal with the issues. They're not even as equipped. Okay, so understand that. And a counselor is good for maintaining, but not for dealing with the actual stuff. Okay, so maybe that can help you with that. Now, you being far away is you need to have a family meeting, and say, let's come together and let's have some counsel, some therapy, and go to a psychologist and things like that, wherever they are. And then, of course, prayer does work. There's nothing too hard for God. And what I want you to know is if you have children or people, when you prayed, when you had that child blessed, or when that child got baptized, or whatever, okay, whatever the case may be, is God said that he would save your children. And he will save them in spite of what you may see them doing. Just because they're exhibiting this crazy sinful behavior, God knows the heart. Understand that. You may have to put the child out. It may, she may be stealing. He may be, having adultery in your house, or whatever the case may be. But do not ever give up on your child. Amen. Because God will save your children. He promised he would. And he is a God of gray. I say that all the time. We try to make him black and white. If you do this, you go into hell. If you do this, he's going. And all of this grace is there. You see, all of that gray is there. Where he says, no, I understand the circumstances. I understand that mama didn't even know she was pregnant. And she was producing too much cortisol. And so she had this issue. And I understand that the grandma had. He understands all of that. And he will take that into consideration when he's in that process of saving. Okay? Any other questions? All right.
Just raise your hand. Any more questions? Sure.
Good evening, how you doing? I just want to make a statement. I had a friend commit suicide. And one thing I had learned through that was people don't pay attention to what's going on with people.
Yeah.
People can talk to you with their eyes and you not even know it.
Yes.
They can be telling you something's wrong.
Yes.
They don't know how to explain it to you, express it. And when you do, it's like walking through these doors by patting you on the back and saying, hello, how you doing? And then it's over, it's gone.
Yes.
There's not no feelings there, no nothing.
Right.
So people cannot trust you when they got issues going on, which makes it hard to get you to a doctor because they don't trust you first.
Yes.
But
yes.
unfortunately, I had that connection with the person to keep him alive and know what I did. I knew when he was going the other way, I knew something was wrong.
Yes.
I kept calling him and calling him because that was his style.
Yes.
He's very quiet, not just what I knew something wrong then.
Right, right.
But I couldn't get him the help. So when I was in school, I had the strangest feeling, and sure enough, he had committed suicide. When I was coming up the street, my mom was calling me, everybody was calling me.
Mercy.
My mama said, no, come on, keep moving, keep moving. Because she wanted to be the one to tell me.
Right, yes.
And I just try to reach out to people, let them know that you have to pay attention to people.
Yes.
It's not about their smile, you got to watch their body language.
Yes.
You got to watch their eyes. Sometimes I can get my right, and I can tell something's not right with her.
Yes.
I'm working with diabetic, she tell you, I'm already fixing sandwiches before she even say a word.
Amen, amen.
Because I pay attention.
Yes, yes.
And you have to pay attention if you want to know what's going on.
Yes, thank you for that. Well, one of the worst things in the world is our greetings. Hi, how you doing? I'm doing good, how are you? You know, in other countries, they have more of an in-depth of a greeting. You know, they kiss you on the cheek and hug you and all that kind of thing, you know. And I was over at the Andersons' son's house today, and their baby, 7 months old, I went to pick him up, his dad gave him to me. He smelled me first. He literally smelled me, and he kept looking like, okay, I don't know you, and I don't know that smell. Finally, he was like, okay, he's good. Yes, but we lose that, and we need to keep that. If they don't smell right, it's something not right. Amen, that's it. You know, if you're used to somebody wearing cologne all the time, and they don't, that's a sign. Brother, I see you don't have your cologne on today. What's going on? So let's just stop that generic greetings, okay? And really get to, as he said, observe the person. Really know. So when you know when something is off. You know how they say you know a counterfeit bill because you have studied the real thing. So you know when something is off. So that's it. Okay, I'm going to close out then.
No more questions? We have time for one more.
Oh, she.
Comment?
This has been absolutely wonderful. I've learned a lot. And I just want to tell the church that we will be continuing the conversation on Sabbath. You cannot miss it. And we will be continuing the conversations throughout the year because mental health is so very important.
Amen. Amen. As I said, if I had time, which I do, I'm just going to give you a little bit of some people in the Bible who dealt with some of those issues. One of them was David. Yes. It says, you know, in 2 Samuel that he was in deep despair. You know, most of the Psalms is talking about his deep depression and you know, he's just haunted, you know, by Saul, who definitely was bipolar. We understand that, yes. And God still used him until he didn't want to be used by God. But David, you know, we love to quote those Psalms, but he did. Elijah, after great victories, after great highs, he had the great lows that we were talking about. Jonah was environmental. He did not like these people. He didn't like this. He said, Lord, and before I minister to them, I'd just rather die. Just kill me. Yeah, before I deal with my issues, okay, because his issue was, you know, that those people had killed it, the generation or whatever, okay? And Job, even though Job was a righteous man and holy man of God, he said in Job 3:11, why didn't I die in the womb? Yes, he went all the way back to the womb. He's like, why did you? And then he says, there's no rest, and I hate my life, all of that. And he was a righteous man. So I want you to understand that it's not that the people don't love God, or the devil is all over them, even though the devil is all over us, but it was out of his depths of despair. It was his incidences that he was having in his life. And then Moses, he was angry and he felt betrayed and all of that. That is a form of that depression, right? Yes. And he said that he was betrayed by his own people, and his anger got the best of him. Yeah, that's what it was. Do we have to do this, that, and the other? Okay. And Jeremiah had a melancholic personality anyway. Okay? And so that sometimes, I want to say that's hard to reckon with. If a person has a melancholic personality, then sometimes you don't know, what slips in depression. I was a melancholic personality. I still am. I'm an introvert, believe it or not. Okay? Yes, okay, that's there in all the books I read. But when I got adopted, I became very aggressive. My depression and despair turned into just craziness on a regular basis. Yes, and out of everything that was going on in the house. But Jeremiah, God didn't even let him get married, and he was very lonely, and he felt defeated a lot, and he had insecurities. Moses also had insecurities as well. I stammer, I can't speak. And then the last two, okay, I want you to go with me there, was Jesus. Jesus had depression issues. He says that he was comely. He was not accepted by his family. He was full of sorrows, acquainted with grief. And he came and took it on. Yes, he did. Okay. It was not hereditary. Have mercy. He came and took the environment. He created the incidences. Hallelujah. Yes. He came from the throne and he said, I now understand your depression. I understand the insecurities. I understand when you just want to die. I understand it. But when it was time to die, he came to die. When it was time to die, he said, Lord, take this from me. He was in such a state of despair, his sweat was like blood. And then God, when Jesus died, even though it was our plan of salvation, God let you see his anger. Yes. Yes, he did. I'm not giving y'all no son. You're not going to get no son at 12 o'clock because you killed my son. And I'm going to give you an earthquake. Yeah, he did all of that. He let you know, I am not pleased with how you treated my son. So when you look at people, hallelujah, yes, it does not mean they don't have God. It means that God is doing a work in them that you may not understand, but God understands it. Amen. Jesus understands because he walked that Via Dolorosa himself.
Doctor, I have a question. I have a question. Once you jumped over into that territory, you got me to thinking. I believe in pastoral ministry. And I say this because with balance to it. that as pastors we should have an honest vulnerability that allows people to see the genuine person. And then I wrestle with the balance of how vulnerable and how much to be seen, because that can also turn on you. I have shared, I believe in Revelation 12 when it says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, by the words of our testimonies. So I share my story because it is a way for me to continue to overcome, because I do suffer with depression, and I've been honest about that. I had a very broken childhood. I was homeless, broken family, the whole 9 yards. And being an introvert, because I am an introvert, and being an artist, I was born with the gift of art. Yes, so one of the things I did as a child was when the trauma and the drama would happen, I would get a pencil and a paper and find myself seclusion and draw my pain away. And I actually became a great artist doing that. So God allowed that pain to grow something in me that He uses today. I